Hello everyone and welcome to the Kootneeti's YouTube channel. I am Niranjan Marjani. Today we are going to talk about Hong Kong. For the past almost 2 years, protests have been going on intermittently in Hong Kong. First, against a law that allowed extradition of people from Hong Kong to China, and now against China's policies that are affecting Hong Kong's electoral system. To tell us more about that, we have with us Finn Lau. He is an activist and founder of Hong Kong Liberty, an organization that works for human rights in Hong Kong. Finn, welcome to the Kootneeti.
Thank you.
Could we start by getting to know about you and your organization and your initiation into this pro-democracy movement?
Okay, in June 2019, I have set up my first team, which is called Hong Kong Liberty, or in Cantonese, Lam Chao team. At that time, I tried to gather a group of volunteers to produce or to write some sort of a legal analysis, such that we could persuade the foreign governments to revoke the foreign citizenships of the government officials or some sort of a pro-Beijing camps legislators in Hong Kong. Because ironically, all of these pro-Beijing government officials, they have some sort of foreign citizenship, for example, in the UK, Canada, or other countries. So that's why I try to do this sort of initiative to let them consider or think twice before bring the extradition bill on the table. And then after 12th of June on the same year, because of the police brutality and other events, I try to write or contact United Nations, Amnesty International, and other intergovernmental organizations to raise the awareness and the situation of Hong Kong. And then I just try to, my teams and I just try keep to stepping out of the comfort zone. And then I organize multiple rounds of global rallies and marches, try to crowdfund to have a global newspaper advertisement campaign, try to organize or invite parliamentarians to visit Hong Kong, and these sorts of things. And then and then by the end of the same year, which is late December, I decided to go back to Hong Kong. And then, unfortunately, on the first day of 2020, I was arrested along with a few hundred others. I was lucky that the police failed to figure out my identity as one of the key players in the movement, and that's why I didn't get sent to China or being disappeared. Yeah. Otherwise, I would not be able to talk to you right now. And then several months or a half year later, my identity was revealed by some pro-Beijing newspaper in Hong Kong. And according to those newspaper, the Hong Kong police and Hong Kong government have issued a global warrant under the Hong Kong National Security Law to arrest me. And since then, I have been in exile, an activist in exile.
Okay. And what is the present status of the protests? They are going on every day, or how is it there? What is the situation in Hong Kong right now?
Right now, the protests have cooled down a lot because of the pandemic as well as the Hong Kong National Security Law. These two factors have affected a lot regarding the protests. However, we are trying to, although we could not hold some protests in Hong Kong, but Hong Kongers are trying every means to fight against the authoritarian regime. Yeah. For example, we are trying to build some sort of a yellow economic circle, which is supportive to the protesters. We have been trying to connect to the world, still connecting to the world, for example, on Twitter, through media, or through Hong Kongers in exile like myself. So we are trying our very best.
Okay. Now, only yesterday, that is on March 11, China's parliament approved a draft to change Hong Kong's electoral system. So what is this law and how would it affect Hong Kong's status with China's one country, two systems?
So I would say this so-called reform is just it's just turning the election into selection, because in the previous political framework in Hong Kong, there is some sort of a limited degree of democracy in the Legislative Council, although the Legislative Council has become a rubber stamp bit by bit over the last 20 years after being handed over from the UK to the PRC. But then this so-called reform just accelerate again to turn it into a fully voting machine to support the regime of CCP. For example, in the so-called reform, 40 over 90 seats are appointed by Beijing, which is totally undemocratic, I would say. And this certify one country, two system in Hong Kong. So autonomy is that in Hong Kong, I would say. And this is the consensus among Hong Kongers.
But if that is the case, then China is using one word again and again, and that is to have patriots in Hong Kong. So what exactly does that mean? Because since you are saying there is hardly any democracy or autonomy in Hong Kong right now, and the government is more or less a rubber stamp. But so, what more would Chinese want from this reforms in the system?
So from this reform, so-called reform, they try to fully control the parliaments of Hong Kong, such that there will not be any opposition or opposite voices in the political system. The government could approve or pass any bills they want. For example, they are trying to pass a bill that will require every phone or SIM card users to register their name. They are trying to push every or other draconian law in Hong Kong. This is what they are trying to do. And in the past, and there is a problem that in the past there have been some people, some Hong Kongers, try to win a simple majority in the Hong Kong Legislative Council. However, 47 of them have been arrested under such campaign. They have been arrested under the Hong Kong National Security Law simply because they want to be the majority of the parliament. And then now all of these 47 people, they are facing a potential life imprisonment in Hong Kong.
So about the timing of this decision, because the trial is going on against these 47 pro-democracy activists. So is that the reason why China has brought this law right now to coincide with this trial?
The timing of this reform or the action by Beijing, I would say there are a number of factors. The first thing is that according to some analysis, 2022 will be the year that presidency will try to run for another presidency. So before that, he will try to further control the liberty or to destroy the autonomy in Hong Kong, such as to gather some sort of internal support from the Communist Party. So this is the first factor. And then the second factor is that because of the US election or other change in geopolitics, the Chinese Communist Party just see this as an opportunity to test the water, to see whether the UK, the US, the EU will try to do something. They are basically trying to gamble over Hong Kong to see whether the West or other democracy will impose sanctions or other action to stop them from fully controlling Hong Kong. So these are the two major factors, I would say.
Okay. And recently, the Heritage Foundation, a US-based think tank, in its Index of Economic Freedom, has counted Hong Kong as a part of China. It implies that Hong Kong is not an independent economy anymore, and also Hong Kong's ranking as a free economy has suffered now, as it is at 107th spot and clubbed with China. Until 2019, Hong Kong was at the top of the list. So, how do you see the economic impact of this report or overall due to China's control on Hong Kong? Since Hong Kong was a preferred destination for investors from all over the world.
Okay, since the Trump administration, maybe the last year of Trump administration, they have been imposing different kind of a sanction, including a sanction on some individuals, some sorts of financial sanctions on the Hong Kong government, try to removing or revoking some sort of preferential status granted by the U.S. on Hong Kong. These sanctions or action by the U.S. is quite, I would say, influential, because in the past, Hong Kong has been handling, according to some reports, Hong Kong has been handling over 40% of foreign direct investment for China. So if Hong Kong is going to lose or fully lose its preferential or independent tax treatment in the international community, then China will not be able to make use or take advantage of Hong Kong special status to stimulate its economic development, I would say. So this is the essence of the ideology or one of the strategy of Hong Kong protesters, which is called Lam Chao in Cantonese. This is one of the doctrine that has steered the movement throughout 2019 and 2020. And it literally could be translated as if we burn, you burn with us. Because Hong Kongers have been suffering from the oppression from the CCP since the 1960s, which is a long, long time ago, many decades ago. We have been losing our political freedom, our freedom of assembly, academic freedom, freedom of speech, etc. So we are trying to collaborate with the international community to try to sanction, to call for sanction on Hong Kong, and we could leverage on the economic independence or strategic economic importance of Hong Kong to China to let the CCP compromise. So this is the strategy of Hong Kong protesters, and that's why in one of the survey, May 2020, which was conducted before the Hong Kong National Security Law, over 80% of the respondents support the US to do so.
Okay. Now you are based in the UK. What are your future plans, in a sense that how do you propose to take your movement forward, and any plans to return to Hong Kong? Or
so my plan is to try to voice out for Hong Kongers as long as I can, because in Hong Kong, the local Hong Kongers, they have basically lost the right to voice out. Whenever they try to voice out, it could be treated as flattening the national security of China or Hong Kong, and then they will be thrown to the jail for life imprisonment. So this is something that I want to do or help Hong Kongers. And then apart from voicing out for them, for example, like taking media interview like this one, I try to participate in think tank events. For example, in early January, I have participated in one of the think tank events by Henry Justice Society in the UK, which is quite influential to the Conservative government in the UK. So this is something that I will going to do, continue to do in the future. Apart from that, I have been writing some analysis or op-ed in some newspapers, for example, Financial Times, to analyze what will be the impact of the Europe-China investment deal and other China issues. And these are the things that I will continue to do.
Well, Finn, thank you very much for talking to us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this interview. We will be back next time with a new topic and a new guest. You can tell us what you think in the comment section below, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. The details are on the screen. Thank you for watching.